Alright, I will try to make a little tutorial here to diagnose what's causing a weak headlight. This old Yamaha XJ900 has exactly that, a weak headlight. And I know it's not the bulb because it was the entire headlight lamp assembly was used on my other bike, which is right here, and there was plenty of light. So we know it's not the headlight, the reflector in the bulb in the light itself is good, so it must be an electrical problem. Let's try and find out. Take the positive lead of our multimeter. You can use a negative, so also you just get a negative result instead. Try and test out the ground side of things. So we put this one on the negative, if it wants to stay there. Typical when you're filming with one hand, things are gonna be weird. Let's try and see if we can. Come on, stay there. So at the moment, nothing. But when you turn the ignition and the light on, you can see 80 millivolts voltage drop. That's okay. That's not too bad. That was on the negative side. So we'll try and focus on the positive side instead. Since this is on the low beam, I'll take the middle one here. Put it in there. It's hard to see, but it's the top one. And we'll switch this one to the positive side of the battery. Then we'll do the measurement again. At the moment, no real difference because it's not on. Then we turn the ignition on and the lights on. And somewhere along the line I don't have a connection. I think this was the one. Let's see. Now you see a difference. We have more than 4 volts. Just about 4 volts of voltage drop from the battery to the positive side of the bulb. So that's actually a reduction from 12 or almost 12 volts down to 8 volts. There's a clear reason why we don't have a lot of headlight on this bike. So we can do a little thing now. We know we are on the headlamp up there. We can go up the battery. Now the fuse box on this one is not too good, but this is the main fuse. I can check here now. We have a voltage drop of 3.4 volts. And the next fuse is the light fuse. Take it to that one. We have a voltage drop of around 2 volts. So we can say there isn't one single issue with this wiring loom. So I guess there's only one thing to conclude, that it's an old bike, and the wiring and the switches and so on, they're getting old, they're getting tired. So I would love to rectify the problem, but since the problem is more or less the whole bike, we're gonna go in another solution with this one, which means fitting a set of relays. So I just assembled a relay harness for the bike. First of all, you always want to start off with a fuse because bad things happen otherwise if you get it short. And then you have a earth connection, which I'll attach at the ignition coil. Goes up to 2 relays, one for high beam and one for dip beam. And of course they go to the H4 plug. I'll show you on the bike when I install it. Alright, I finished installing the relay harness I have connected the positive side to the positive side of the starter relay, so it is as closely connected to the positive terminal of the battery as possible. But I want to avoid putting it directly on the battery, because then you have to take it off and put it on each time you have to replace the battery, take the battery off, or do any kind of service. Then of course I have fused it with a 15 amp fuse, and then runs up under the fuel tank. And the negative one is hard to see, but in the center, on the rear of the ignition coil, I have connected the ground side. It is connected on the same spot as the wiring ground is to the ignition coil, so you're both getting ground from the wiring and from the actual frame of the bike. And of course I run into the housing where the relays are in here. It's kind of dark, I know, but they're sitting in here, and then finally it goes to the headlamp assembly. And now we'll try and do a measurement and see what the difference is between now and earlier. Alright, I can now connected the probe from the multimeter to the low beam positive side, which is the center pin. And we're gonna turn on the ignition. We now have much more light than before. And let's have a look and see what it says when we take the positive probe to the battery, and see we have a voltage drop of 88 millivolts. That's like 4.1 volts more of electrical power to the headlamp, and now the headlamp actually looks white instead of yellowish. So there you are. That's how you increase your headlight or improve your headlight. I hope you can use this information.